All right, Raymond. On today's episode of the GoldCast, we're going to be focused on the Warriors, the Giants. Then we're going back. Wait, hold on, Raymond. Hold on. It's saying here that New England has inquired about Jimmy G. Well, you've been talking about a 3-team trade to get Deshaun Watson. New England's here. You know what? Screw it. Scrap it all. I guess we're going back to Deshaun Watson news again.
Oh, all right. Well, Buster Posey back in the batting cage. Who cares? The Warriors win 2, drop 2. Steph Curry's sick. Who cares? Back to Deshaun Watson we go.
Back to, Deshaun Watson is essentially, he is like the Michael Myers of trade rumors. Every time you think he's dead, he just rises back up and he just starts walking towards you. Very slowly, though. Like Michael Myers, these trade rumors move very, very slowly.
Yes, and in the event that the trade actually ever happens, I would not be surprised if Deshaun Watson did a Michael Myers-esque head tilt to culminate. I am traded?
This is the GoldCast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom! Raymond, like Michael Myers, these trade rumors just keep coming. There's just one sequel after another after another. Let's start with some of the furthest news, but very interesting. You've been talking all offseason that the best way for this trade to happen is a 3-team trade. And the team you proposed was New England. We send Jimmy back to New England. New England sends a first-round pick to Houston. We send a couple first-round picks to Houston, and we get Deshaun Watson. 3-team trade. That's probably the only way Jimmy waives his no-trade clause. And that's probably the only way Deshaun Watson waives his no-trade clause, and we get it done. This is what you've been proposing. And then, lo and behold, this Monday morning, New England reached out to San Francisco to inquire about Jimmy G. They also
Allegedly,
yes. They also apparently inquired about Deshaun Watson. So obviously Nick Casario, who I was on the phone with last week. If you saw last week's episode, Raymond got to we role played that. They have obviously they have a relationship because of New England, and so this is very interesting news. This is very interesting. And this puts in play for the first time ever the possibility of your magical 3-team trade. Let's talk about this trade. This inquiry, I should say.
Well, I mean, this was the one piece that I really felt made the most sense for Jimmy to overlook, not overlook, but to waive his no-trade clause in his contract because it's somewhere he's familiar with. He knows that defense. He knows the staff. He knows the coaching staff. It wouldn't be very difficult for him to reacclimate to New England because
he knows that offense?
That offense, yeah. So, I mean, the system that's in place there, he knew that more so than he knew our system, when he came over. I mean, he's still learning our system technically because Kyle Shanahan runs a complicated system and there's new wrinkles in it every season. But at the same time, the idea of him reacclimating to the Patriots would be seamless, absolutely seamless. So I thought that this was the best third-party candidate to join the trade to make a Deshaun Watson move possible. And now that they are, rumored to be inquiring because obviously the Cam Newton project failed. So that means that this is the reality of a Deshaun Watson trade, via the assistance of the New England Patriots is a real thing. This was something that I've been on this since the beginning. This is who I think needs in order to make it work. In order to make it work without giving up our top flight players, last week it was Nick Bosa. In order to avoid that, we need New England to make this happen. If we don't get a third trade party partner, then we have to possibly explore the potentiality of giving up somebody like that, a high caliber player in exchange. Because Jimmy G's obviously included in that project, so that's irrelevant. But somebody else has to be included in that project, in that trade for Houston to think that it's worthwhile. We already know it's going to take multiple first rounders. So the question is, I think San Francisco gives up some first rounders. New England gives up some first rounders too. In other words, we share that cost with New England versus us having to fit the entire bill. So I think this is the best case scenario. So it kind of gets me excited because I think this is a real possibility now. This is a total real possibility because now the leverage is, hey, well, if you want Jimmy, we need a quarterback to replace him. So you need to help us get Watson, and then we'll give you Jimmy. Simple as that. But the interesting thing that came out that has nothing to do with the Patriots is Peter King's proposal that also came out today that is talking about what he thinks the Niners could or should or could possibly give up in a Deshaun Watson trade that doesn't involve a third team.
Yeah, so drop that on us. What exactly does this trade entail?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, the New England trade, in my mind, makes perfect sense. It mitigates a lot of the costs that have been proposed in some of these ridiculous trades. But again, in the event that New England's not involved in helping us out to help themselves out, we give up basically 7 pieces including Jimmy, for one Deshaun Watson. So listen to this. We give up Jimmy Garoppolo to Houston. We give up Fred Warner, Mike McGlinchey, the first rounder this year, and a second round pick in 2021. So your first round this year, second round this year, and a third round pick for 2022. In exchange, we get Watson. So 3 players.
And 3 picks.
3 players, 3 picks. So let's see. Yeah. First round picks in 2021. So first round picks in 2021 and 2022, plus a second round pick in 2021, and a third round pick in 2022, plus 3 players, including our best tackle outside of Trent Williams and absolutely one of the best inside linebackers in all of football.
This is the dumbest trade proposal I've ever heard. This is
worse than Nick Wright.
This is worse than Nick Wright's. Nick Wright's was a 3-team trade where we send Russell Wilson to Houston, Nick Bosa to Seattle, and then Deshaun Watson comes to us. Is that right? That's right? That was the trade?
It was something along those lines. It was never what's really pathetic is that it was never written to be taken seriously. It was only written to stir up controversy, which, helps boost his personality and his views online and for the show
social
and those
media
kind of
posts or something.
Yeah, it's just
ridiculous. It was something like that. It was so stupid we didn't even mention it when it was first proposed. But this one is equally ridiculous. So you're telling me we're going to send one of our best defensive players, our second
the quarterback of the defense, the inside linebackers. Fred Warner's the one that makes all those calls on defense. He gets them from Robert Saleh and the staff, and then he makes the call on the play to get the right formation so they can get the stop. So he's saying that we give up our defensive quarterback and our second best tackle. So we're going to compromise 2 huge holes, one which is directly tied to Watson, and another one which will indirectly make Watson's job harder because of our inability to get as many stops with Fred Warner in the lineup facilitating the defense.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That doesn't make any sense. And then on top of it, we're giving him 3 picks, and you're getting 3 picks? Hold on. Deshaun Watson, he is not Tom Brady. He's not the second coming of Joe Montana. I don't even understand. There's no world where we are going to send Deshaun Watson out, where we are going to get Deshaun Watson from Houston and then send our right tackle to Houston. That doesn't make any sense. Literally the guy who's in charge of protecting him right there. Why would we do that? I don't know what possesses people to do this. I do. It's like you said, it's just about getting the clickbait. It's about having the social media bite for 24 hours. It's about being in the news cycle for a hot minute, getting your Instagram and your Twitter to go off. And it's just, this trade is so stupid. And John Lynch in his right mind wouldn't ever do this. Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. Breaking news. He just did. No, I'm just kidding. And so he would never he would never do this. He would never actually do this. This is ridiculous.
And Peter King's not really known for clickbaity stuff. He's actually more or less a reasonable guy. He's on Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports. We've seen him on the Pro Football Sports Talk with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. And I like all of those guys when they're, on the podcast talking about sports and football and the Niners. But this, to me, I feel like this is Peter King's attempt at trying to get himself to trend for a day. And this just falls right into the douchey category of Nick Wright. And so we had to mention it because it's one thing to mention Nick Bosa in a trade proposal, which a friend of the show did, which is a little bit different because he was actually genuine in that trade proposal. He wasn't trying to be, clickbaity just with us on a private discussion. That's not how it works. He was trying to say, oh, I think you should definitely do this. I think it's worth it, in his opinion. This is just clickbaity, irrelevancy. But, obviously enough to get us talking. So I guess it did its job from a certain perspective, depending on what perspective you have. So, but this is ridiculous, and it is absolutely 100%, just like the Nick Wright proposal, not going to happen.
This is definitely not going to happen. I think the 3-team trade is a very real possibility. I do think sending Nick Bosa is a real possibility. I did speak to our father, unofficial 4th member of the GoldCast, Rudy Solis Jr., and he did mention to me that he thought this was a terrible trade, a terrible proposal, that a defensive pass rush. He said, offense gets you to the playoffs, defense wins championships. Just look at the Super Bowl this past year. Defense once again won the championship. And he said this just doesn't make any sense. You do not send Nick Bosa to Houston. He was adamantly against this trade. But at the same time, I thought there was enough argument in last week's discussion that it warranted some merit, is what it did. It made sense, you know what I mean? And so I don't have an issue with it. I really don't. I don't want to see him go there, but I would understand if the 49ers did decide to make that trade. But I'll tell you what, there is no world they're going to give up half the squad just for Deshaun Watson, and then every first-round pick from now till 2035. That doesn't make any sense. Like, this is such a poor trade. But this also explains, Raymond, that being a sports journalist doesn't make you a general manager of a football team. Doesn't mean you're good at that other job. And
yeah.
I mean,
in
these
fact,
proposals.
It's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But if anything, it just solidifies the reason why you are a writer and not a GM making the big bucks.
Yes, and it does not make you a GM. And this is, Nick Wright's proposal, Peter King's proposal. These are all pretty silly. They all don't really. I put them in the right, not really gonna, don't.
These
don't
are
put any
Cohen's.
stock into
These
this.
are Cohen's. These are Cohen trade proposals. These are straight up Cohen's. And you know that we don't like to trip. We don't like to put ourselves in the folly category of Niner sports talk. But these trade proposals are definitely what I would call a Cohen, which is the definition is, when you say or do something really stupid as it relates to sports.
We all know who
so
that's
anyways,
referencing.
Not yeah, exactly, but not my definition. That's just the Webster fact. So
that's just, we can't help
it
it. We just follow Wikipedia just like everybody else. I will say this though. Here's probably the one nugget that's coming out of this, right? Who keeps showing up in these trade rumors over and over and over again? It's always the Niners, right? The Niners, I think, secretly behind doors want to make a big play. But, until Nick Caserio decides that this is not going to happen, I mean, I really believe there is a real chance Deshaun Watson sits out this year. I really think it might take that because it looks like Nick Caserio is refusing to even entertain a trade. So I know that we've a lot of people are pretty confident that Deshaun Watson will not be on the Texans at the start of this season. I actually am the opposite. I'm starting to believe he is going to be on the team. I mean, it is a long time between now and August when preseason begins. It's a long time. But having said that, I just don't see it. I think he might be forced to sit out. That is the only way he's going to get a trade. You just do not let go of your quarterback. You let go of your quarterback, especially like you're saying, arguably second best in the league. I mean, the team is blown up. You only won 4 games with him last year already, and now you're going to give him up? I don't see it. I think he's going to have to sit out. That's the only way he gets traded.
And I agree with that. I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure how much leverage Caserio has, because he's in the eye of a pretty shitty storm right now, and I'm pretty sure he did not sign up, to be the GM in order to be in this kind of predicament. And based on the fact that, these players don't know him, they don't have a rapport built up with him, and he's going to have to try and convince them that, he knows which way to go, even though all the players are saying, Deshaun, do you, like, this is what you wanted. This is what the support you wanted. You're not getting it. Even though we'd love to stay here and you're our leader, you got to do you. Players will always support players at the end of the day, no matter what. So they're going to back up Deshaun before they back up Nick Caserio. And because he's a brand new GM coming in this brand new situation, and you got a player that has a no trade clause that wants out, I just feel like he has most of the cards right now, and he can really, when push comes to shove, I feel like Deshaun Watson is the one that can get a trade happen before the need for a sit out. It's just a question of if he's going to. Because we know from his camp, we know that the Niners are already are a top candidate for him to go. Rumor came out that he thought that this would be an intriguing place for him to land. We know that the Jets are not even in his wheelhouse, according to his camp, that is not a consideration. We know the Rams are out of that mix because they got Matthew Stafford. We know that Detroit is out of that mix because they got Jared Goff. We know that Indianapolis Colts are out of that mix because they just got Carson Wentz. We know that Philadelphia is going to probably try and experiment with their the young quarterback that they have over there. I even forget his name. That's
Jalen Hurts.
We know Jalen Hurts. There you go. Thank you. We know that Tampa Bay has Tom Brady. They just won. They're not going anywhere. We know Ben Roethlisberger probably going to come back. It's always a little back and forthy before the end of the season, but the fact that he started 11-0 and was just multiple defensive injuries away from really kind of solidifying themselves as a bona fide AFC contender before injuries just kind of really took the wind out of their sail. That was what really ended them. It wasn't that just they're inefficient or not as good as their record suggested. They just got caught up by injuries. If they can stay healthy, you've got a solid team there. So, and I think Roethlisberger is going to come back, so I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Drew Brees, however, is expected to retire soon, so that will be a big deal. But you have Taysom Hill there, who is the next guy in line. You have Jameis Winston over there, although I really think they're going to want to stick with Taysom Hill. They drafted him for a purpose. He's been touted as being the next Steve Young, although that's a really difficult shoe to fill. And so we'll see how that pans out. But to me, I think like the Niners are really kind of, as time goes on, the Niners become brighter and brighter and brighter as the destination point for Deshaun Watson. Now that New England is in the mix, rumor, as inquiring about quarterbacks because they want to find a different option that's better than Cam Newton, which is a great idea. I think they absolutely should. Jimmy is the perfect fix for that. So it's a time will tell thing. I think
it is a time will tell thing. It really is. I will say this, and I'm going to tell this right. I'm talking to you directly, GoldCast Empire, before we get out of here. If it doesn't happen, it's fine. Jimmy G is a very good quarterback. Don't get into the hype that all of a sudden if we don't get Deshaun Watson, we're going to suck next year. We are not going to suck. The entire team is back, healthy, and ready to go. Don't think for one second that if you think for one second this team is not going to be sitting there at the top of the NFC West at number 1, you are tripping. I do not care about Matt Stafford. The GoldCast, our official stance, we do not care about Matt Stafford. And you know what? When Nick Bosa sacks him and he hurts his back and he's out for 8 weeks, you're going to understand why we didn't trade for him. We're going to be fine. The Niners are going to be fine. And whether or not this happens or not, we'll be fine. But hey, you know what? sure gives us a hell of a lot of content right now in the offseason, so I can't be too mad about it. All right, so let us know in the comments, folks. Does the New England inquiry put us in position for Raymond's 3-team trade proposal? Or does it go back to the Nick Bosa thing? Which one is more likely? Let us know in the comments.
Right, the King's ransom that they're going to want from the 49ers if they are the lone trade partner.
Mm-hmm. So let us know in the comments. Go to youtube.com/thegoldcast and let us know. All right, folks, we will be back later on in the week. We promise we will get to the other teams. This stuff is big. And, GoldCast, we are a 49er-centric podcast. That's the team that comes first. And judging by what you guys like and what you guys comment on, you guys agree with that too. All right. And so concludes another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom! We'll see you next time. Same GoldCast time, same GoldCast channel. All right. We did it.